There are some profit warnings as an increased number of businesses say rising inflation could affect their bottom lines.
Yes, an Ernst & Young report says the war in Ukraine is partly behind huge price rises for commodities such as natural gas, which could more than double over the next 2 years.
Well, let's talk to business and finance commentator Michael Wilson. Morning to you, Michael. Look, there's a real concern about profit warnings now, isn't there?
There is. Let's just get those in perspective, though. The reason that companies offer profit warnings is because they want to lower the expectations of their shareholders. These are basically listed companies, and it was quoted on the London Stock Exchange and international stock exchanges. These are the ones that are actually saying things are going to be fairly tough. Well, we kind of know that they are. We also had some warnings out from small businesses, non-listed companies, saying more or less the same kind of thing. So everybody's suffering for increased inflation, increased energy prices, and all the rest of it, which we unfortunately know only too well. So I don't want to depress everybody on a Sunday morning. Just there is a slightly brighter side to this. It's only very, very slightly, but people are quite consciously changing their heating habits, if they can, their eating habits, if they can. In other words, they're shopping at some of the big discounters, some of the own brand discounters like Aldi and Lidl and so on. And Sainsbury's and Morrison's are engaged in this dropping of prices. So you're seeing these purchases that we all have to make. Hopefully, let's say hopefully, not quite rising as quickly as the supply chains and the widgets and so on that go to make up our manufacturing industry, which is what a lot of these companies, which we started this report on, have been quoting, saying things are going to be bad, are.
It's interesting when you talk about food prices and things, Michael, because we were touching on earlier on with Lily Hewitson. You know, there is this huge concern, this balancing act, particularly between our farming industries, which are struggling and traditionally always struggle. But obviously they're feeling the squeeze now at a time when obviously people are wanting that cheaper food. They're wanting prices to stay as low as possible. I mean, it's a hugely difficult balancing act, isn't it, financially?
It is, and always farmers in this country have protested about the fact that their competitors in Europe get bigger grants and so on. It's a really depressing thing is to look at the price of butchered pieces of meat in a supermarket and then look at the animal as a whole and what the animal actually sells for. There's no connection between the two, and we all want cheaper prices, but we also, I think, want to keep our farming industry. It's not a huge push for politicians in the same way that it is in France particularly, but we should keep it if it's nothing else to do than food security. Now, how the government actually deals with that, well, that's down to them to sort out. But you're absolutely right. It is a very, very difficult balancing act. And I think restraint on behalf of the consumers ought to be one of those kind of things. We are all used, aren't we, to getting everything that we want just when we want it. Well, you know, times are changing for a little while. And I think we need to imbue some of that spirit in the way that we shop and live, heat and eat.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Michael, thank you very much indeed.